You can be sure these maritime campers make their beds in the morning. It's summer camp with a difference and discipline. Tonight, live at 5.
Now, from the ATV News Center at every city and town in the Maritimes, this is the ATV Evening News, live at 5.
Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, July 11th. I'm Paul Mennier.
And I'm Heather Proudfoot, standing in for Nancy Regan.
And she is on vacation.
Vacationing.
We're sure she's enjoying every moment of it.
I think so.
Here's a look at some of the stories ATV reporters around the region are working on for tonight's show.
I'm Jonathan Kay in Halifax. A maritime major general who's just returned home after spending a year in the former Yugoslavia is going to be putting off his R&R for a while and heading back to Bosnia. We'll show you why tonight on Live at 5.
I'm Alan Johnson at the ATV Studios parking lot here in Moncton. 4.5 years ago, a bomb exploded here. Others have exploded around New Brunswick since then. We'll look into some of those explosions coming up on Live at 5.
And then it's another Madcap Monday, the weird and wonderful plays of the weekend.
It's all coming up in the Monday edition of Live at 5. Right now, let's check in with Bill Mackay, substituting for Steve Murphy at the ATV Evening News at 6 anchor desk. Bill, what's up?
All right, Paul, thank you very much. Coming up tonight at 6, a commission of an inquiry into Canada's blood system is in the Maritimes, St. John. The hearing's first stop on the East Coast. They are trying to learn how blood was handled and how it became contaminated. We tell you what happened there today at 6. Dr. Henry Morgenthaler's legal battle with New Brunswick Medical, the New Brunswick medical community is on hold. The courts have reserved decision on whether to lift the restriction on his right to perform abortions. More at 6. Male correctional officers are allowed to guard female inmates now at the Halifax Correctional Center. The policy upsets the members of a women's organization. The Elizabeth Fry Society saying this move opens the door to serious problems. More at 6. Time now for our first fast look at the weather forecast. Here is meteorologist Steve Weigel. Steve?
Thank you very much, Bill. It looks like a great week in store with not much in the way of precipitation until Friday. Clear night tonight and beautiful sunny warm weather for tomorrow. I'll give you all the details later in the show. Steve. Or Bill, sorry.
No, you're Steve. Okay, thank you. For weeks, the O.J. Simpson drama has played itself out on our TV screens at home with much of the preliminary evidence, of course, being made public. That can happen in the U.S., but here in Canada, it cannot. Does that make our system better? The story tonight at 6. Now back to Heather and Paul.
All right, thank you, Bill. And first at 5 tonight, the unknown threat. Who's been making bombs and leaving them to detonate in public areas in the Maritimes?
The bomb that shocked Halifax's Point Pleasant Park on Saturday morning has many Maritimers shaking as well. Of course, no one was hurt in the weekend blast, but the fact that it happened at all has people asking questions about public safety.
And one of those people is ATV's Janet Stewart.
Todd Hancock brought his family here from Newfoundland for a little R&R, but what he found was less than relaxing.
He came up here to vacation, come down by the waterfront, and you hear about these bomb threats and scares and explosions, and you know, from there we got a police force patrolling the beaches. Kind of makes you feel like you're insecure.
This is the spot where the bomb went off on Saturday morning. You can see yellow paint chips all around from the can that exploded. There's a chunk out of the stone wall, and the asphalt is dented. So we do know that the bomb was strong enough to push pavement down, but still, police say the public shouldn't worry.
There's no indication that somebody's out there with a target in mind. We don't want to have the community alarmed in general.
But people are alarmed. Does it scare you that this stuff is coming to the Maritimes?
Oh yeah, but I'm not too worried anyway either. It's like, I definitely ain't going to stick my head down the garbage can or nothing like that.
When anybody starts putting bombs in public places, it concerns everybody. Sure, there's kids and adults and everybody here. So it does make you somewhat insecure.
Others are philosophical.
It's random. It can happen anywhere at any time. I mean, these things happen all around the world, and you can't stay at home and be scared. There's no point.
What would you tell people to do if they discover something suspicious?
Don't touch it. Call us.
if something like this goes off in your hands, we're looking at serious damage or a fatality. You know, that will take your life.
Okay, and thanks very much. That was ATV's Janet Stewart, of course, with the Queen's visit coming up in August, security and added risk. Now, Nova Scotia isn't the only maritime province being forced to deal with explosive devices. As ATV's Alan Johnson tells us, bombs have also been a concern in New Brunswick, both this year and in years gone by.
Heather, this has been a tense year for bomb scares in New Brunswick. A number of centers affected, Bathurst, Moncton here, St. John and Newcastle, to name a few. It's not an isolated problem, but it's not exactly a new one either, although it's the type of thing that people never seem to get used to. This bomb blast at the ATV studios here in Moncton occurred in November of 1989. Donnie Nielsen was working the night it happened.
I was walking by a desk, and the noise was pretty loud. I thought it was a truck or something that come off the road and hit the side of the building over there, but when I come out, you could see the diesel running out of the truck. So called the fire department, and we found out it was a bomb.
More recently, the outside workers' strike in Moncton this year coincided with about half a dozen bomb scares. Also this spring, the bombing of the courthouse in Newcastle. And on April 17th, a suspicious package at the St. John police station. More recently, a suspected bomb at St. John's Provincial Building just last month. All cases that have police frustrated.
And that somebody could get hurt over one of these explosive devices, because they do, when they explode, cause a lot of material to be thrown all over the place. And as I said, up to 350 feet or 400 feet is a long ways away. And if people are standing around, they could very easily get hurt.
And there's also the issue of property damage, too, which we've seen.
Oh, it's into the thousands and thousands of dollars property damage when these things explode.
In fact, within the past few years, bombs have even been found here in Moncton's downtown core.
I can't really do anything about it, you know.
All you can do is be careful.
Yeah, just watch out, I guess. You can't really stop it.
Well, I went to Israel last summer, and there were a few bomb scares from Lebanon. They fired a few bombs, and we had to go in the bomb shells, and it was very scary. So I guess it doesn't really compare to the streets in Moncton.
I really enjoyed the city, its people, and I consider it to be relatively safe around here.
So Heather, with a relatively small province like New Brunswick, a fair number of bomb scares over the past year at least, and in years gone by, as we mentioned. So police are frustrated. It's a hard type of crime to pinpoint because, as that policeman mentioned, debris is scattered around, the evidence is scattered, and it's hard to get a conviction. Although there is new equipment on the market, it's highly sensitive, and police forces are buying it up, hoping it'll help them prevent this type of crime in the months and years ahead.
Okay, thanks very much, Alan. We have a little bit more about that new equipment.
Yep, certainly has been frustrating for police, as you say, and as we know, people certainly in Halifax concerned with this recent incident, and I'm sure it's bringing back memories for other Maritimers that whenever we have a bomb scare, in a number of our region cities, there are police bomb squads ready to respond. The bomb squads are specially trained units of officers who make use of some highly specialized equipment.
I spent a bit of time today with a couple of members of the Halifax bomb squad. They're the ones who were called out Saturday to respond to the Point Pleasant Park incident. Meet Corporal Jim Griffin, mild-mannered ident officer most of the time, explosives expert some of the time. He directs what goes on in the field when Halifax PD's bomb squad is called into action.
Well, it's a unit that's put together to try and we're trained at the Canadian Police College, and from there we respond to any suspicious package of explosives or whatever, and it's our job to go in there and try and make it safe, and then to find out who put it there and possibly take the incident to court if we're lucky enough to get suspects or accused people.
What kind of training do you get?
It's a six-week course at the Canadian Police College. That's the initial part of it, and then from then on you've got a continuous training program, and every 3 years you have to go back to be validated to ensure that you're still current in all the techniques that we have.
And there's lots of specialized equipment used by the bomb squads, including this remote control robotic machine used to handle explosive devices. Is it dangerous work?
Oh, absolutely. Fortunately, Halifax has a completely equipped unit so that we have a robot. So, of course, the further you are from a package, then the safer it's going to be for you. so that we utilize that as much as possible. But if in fact that we have to go into a situation where you can't get the robot, then we'll use the bomb suit.
There is also what they call the hopper. It's the dome-like canister you see on the trailer behind the truck.
It's made of steel. There's two barrels, really. And it's made to, if the explosive inside does initiate, it is going to go upwards versus sideways.
There's other equipment used by the bomb squad, too. An X-ray machine, for example. The work can at times be hazardous. The Point Pleasant Park incident, for example. Another time they were called into action was when a bomb was discovered at a local bus terminal. What was it like down there Saturday? How intense was it for you?
Well, by the time we got there, the thing had already blown up. So that, but then if there's one, you have to look. Possibly there might be some more. So we had to play it very strict right from the beginning. So that we had to. I think some of the folks saw us turning some of the garbage cans over with the robot.
Now, Halifax isn't the only city in this region with the bomb squad. Fredericton and Moncton have similar units, and as we saw earlier, in some of those jurisdictions, they've been kept busy.
And certainly a busy one for them in Halifax this weekend. I'm wondering what it does to police budgets, because that looks to be a fairly tedious job. I mean, they're turning over buckets, and it takes quite a bit of time and obviously a bit of manpower and the equipment that we saw as well.
Well, that's right. Police budgets, like every other budget these days, they're strained, and there is some concern that perhaps there are some cutbacks in some of the areas of training specifically. So they're hoping that that won't reduce the service too much.
Well, as we've seen, we need the bomb squads, and hopefully they'll crack down and find out whoever's been placing them around the Maritimes in short order. And coming up, he's the very model of a modern Major General. We're going to find out why a maritime military man has delayed his R&R because of a peace plan.
Also ahead, it's summertime, and for many Maritimers, that means summer camp. For military types, there's summer camp, too.
Break! Break!
We're in the Army now. It's next on Live at 5.
What better combination on a hot July day than kids and water? And that wasn't all that could be found at Moncton's Magic Mountain. The wave pool, tubing river, and giant water slide were all getting lots of use this afternoon. Well, after a year in the former Yugoslavia, Major General John McGuinness arrived back home in the Maritimes less than a week ago. But he's putting off his R&R to respond to a call from the United Nations. ATV's Jonathan Kay now with his story.
What do you have to do? Well, what I have to do, for example, is to come up with the specifics of the military disincentives, or the carrot and stick, the stick side, should one or the other parties fail to agree to the peace plan.
Before returning from Bosnia last week, Major General McGuinness was second in command of the 30,000-member UN Protection Force. But his new role will be very different.
Is this a challenge that you look forward to, or is this something that you look forward to with a little bit of trepidation, knowing that it's going to be reasonably difficult and may not stand a very good chance of success?
Well, yeah, that's a very good question, because it is something I've just discussed with it now a few minutes ago with another member of my team. We just hope that we're not going over to do nugatory work that becomes redundant as soon as the ink dries. And that, of course, could happen if this whole thing falls apart. And it is a very tenuous plan, as all plans are for Bosnia. Nevertheless, I consider it, first of all, a bit of an honor to be called to ask to do this sort of thing, and it has a lot to do with the experience I've had over the last year. But it is a little disconcerting to come home and spend less than a week with my family.
It was kind of a surprise to see him going back.
The General's youngest daughter, 13-year-old Elizabeth, says she's proud of what her dad's going to be doing.
It's just kind of neat to know that he's doing something, you know, the world, like, involved, and instead of just being, like, here doing his job like most of the other fathers or mothers who are working. It's nice to know that he has a hand in, like, what's going on.
Is there anything in particular you wanted to do or wanted to see or wanted to experience before you headed back again?
Well, I was anxious to get back for the tattoo, and I did have the opportunity to come back and hosting the tattoo on the 5th of July, and that was a delight and a pleasure. But what I really wanted to do was to spend summer around here and take my young daughter over there up to a Blue Jays baseball game. But I think we're going to do that later on in August when I come.
And that was ATV's Jonathan Kay reporting. Now, Major General McGuinness says it's no accident the UN has chosen a Canadian for this job. He says Canadians are overrepresented in Bosnia, but that's because they're in great demand. Our troops are, by and large, bilingual. They're experienced in peacekeeping, and Canadians are particularly effective in negotiating settlements because we're seen as a strong country, yet one with no hidden agendas or ambitions. Paul.
All right, thank you, Heather. And right now we're going to meet some future maritime peacekeepers. You know, going to camp is what a lot of kids do every summer, but ATV's Laverne Stewart has just returned from a summer military camp for kids from across our region. What's it like out there, Laverne?
Well, Paul, more than 1,000 kids are taking part in the 6-week camp. They're doing everything from marching to first aid and even classroom work. Now, this might not sound like every kid's dream vacation, but these cadets love it, and most are hoping for military careers.
How long does this camp run?
Camp runs for 6 weeks. From the time we take the cadets in, the staff normally comes in a week before to prepare. And then there's a small staff after the close her out, and she shuts down then for the summer.
So these kids, where are they all from?
All over the maritime, Atlantic provinces, Newfoundland, PEI, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick.
What do you show? No mercy! What do you get? No fear, sir!
Down the road, I mean, say 3-4 years from now, when you're thinking about what you want to do for your career, does the military have a part in that?
Yes, I do. I like to become a military doctor and that. So, being in the military, I'm going to keep on going with the army and that. Whatever I make, so I'll be staying in the army.
To support the role of national defense.
Bring our hand up again. Bring all the way down again. Up again. So there. You understand?
The kids that come to Camp Argonaut are evaluated for their fitness level when they first arrive, and then will be tested right before they leave. They're doing chin-ups now. Do you want to be an officer, or you want to go through the ranks?
I want to go through the ranks, yeah.
Why?
Well, I don't know. I don't like pushing around people.
D Company, advance. Left! Turn! Right and turn!
Surprisingly enough, they come back year after year, so they must be enjoying the program.
Now, Paul, even if these kids don't go on to military careers, they're gaining experiences they'll keep for a lifetime. I remember too well marching and spit-shining boots for hours.
Really? Oh, you were involved, huh? How'd you like it?
Well, let me remind you of that movie Private Benjamin. I couldn't do anything right. I just remember them yelling at me, "Stuart, why can't you shine those boots?" And I don't know, I came home day after day begging my dad to shine the boots for me. So, yeah, it was good, though. I made a lot of friends, and I keep in touch with a lot of them still.
Terrific. All right, thanks, Laverne.
Okay.
Heather?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Straight ahead on Live at 5, something we all take for granted, our sewer and water systems. There's some new technology being tested right here in the Maritimes.
There's definitely flow going underneath the other side, but could be a clog possibly there.
Live at 5 is flush with victory next.
1.65. Hard to figure it out.
That's Ken Gogan on the job today. The days of the old handwritten parking ticket are gone in St. John. Commissionaires have been issued, get this, handheld computer ticket writers. The commissionaire can call up information on outstanding parking tickets and process each day's tally automatically. And oh, isn't that wonderful? Paul?
Some good news there indeed, Heather. And still with high-tech use in our municipalities, a regional-based company and the county of Cape Breton are using technology unique to this region to develop a system to improve efficiency in the repair and construction of municipal services like sewer and water. Greg Boone joins us live from Cape Breton with the rest of the story tonight. Greg?
Paul, the work is the project is actually a mix of physical survey work and technology. The result is speedier and easier access to an information base that could help work crews in the field when they're needed.
Can I have one of the guys take the manhole lid off, please?
Crews have been working since just before Christmas addressing properties and surveying water valves, hydrants, catch basins, and sewer hole locations throughout Cape Breton County. Now students hired for the summer are continuing the task.
Just taking a shot up to the next station, and once I get up there, I'll measure up to there, then I can occupy that position, use this as my reference point, and carry on down the road from there. It'll tie it in for the mapping part of the project, so they can map all these out, and the county can they can have a visual idea where all their services, utilities are on the ground.
Okay, we have one pipe here. It looks like probably a 200 millimeter. There is flow coming from it. There's definitely flow going underneath the other side, but could be a clog possibly there.
What's being created is a geographic information system to eventually be used by municipal planners, engineering, and maintenance departments during construction and repairs.
This information, of course, is very important. Should there be flooding or backups of manholes in the county, they have to know where these facilities are. And in the long run, it will save them money, too, when they know they don't have to be searching for these facilities because they already know where they are.
The data collected in the field is then delivered to a computer center where maps are marked and scanned.
It's now scanning.
And it'll show me on the screen everything that is being scanned so I can see whether it should be lighter or darker.
The emergency service, they can eventually rely on this computer technology.
Oh, certainly, yeah. Like I said, the stuff we're being introduced to here is just like cutting-edge equipment, stuff that's, basically never been seen around here before.
The Geographic Information System database will be complete within 2 years. It can be accessed now for some preliminary information. When it's more complete, the county will have a comprehensive package.
Creators say this is a valuable tool for infrastructure management. Further benefits will be realized when several communities here complete an amalgamation in the near future. Paul.
All right, thank you, Greg. And no question, as we grow, it's important to have information, easily accessible information about our infrastructure. And I guess you can watch for other cities to look into that technology soon.
Okay. And now we'd like to tell you about one of the projects ATV News has planned for the summer. One of our award-winning videographers will be hitting the road later this month to shoot video essays on life in the Maritimes. He doesn't know exactly where he'll be going. That's up to you. We want to capture a day in the life of a maritime community, maybe yours. So sell your community to us. Is there unparalleled scenery? Maybe people make the difference in your village. Whatever it is that makes your place in the Maritime special, we want to know about it. Then we'll choose the destinations for our videographer. Write us a brief letter, put your thoughts in a postcard, and send them to ATV Photo Journey, P.O. Box 9321, Halifax, B3K 5N5. We need your ideas by July 15th.
And that deadline is quickly approaching, so get them in the mail right now if you haven't already. We've already received a number of entries from people who are quite boastful of their communities, and we're going to it's going to be a difficult process to decide which ones we're going to do, so we'll get to that soon. And right now we're going to get to our milestone file. We're going to start off tonight with Clovis and Helen Doucette, who celebrated their 50th anniversary yesterday. They have 13 children, 24 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren who send love and best wishes. Harold, who's also known as Doug, and Edna Veith of Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia, also marked their 50th anniversary yesterday. They celebrated Saturday with an open house hosted by their 2 children, 6 grandchildren, and 2 step-grandchildren. Sunday was 50 years together for David and Irene Young of Sydney Mines. They celebrated one Saturday with their 3 children, 6 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild, and family and friends.
And Sunday was a special birthday for this lady, Delina Cormier of Mascouche, Prince Edward Island. She was born July 10th, 1892, making her 102 years old. Her family tree includes 15 children, 82 grandchildren, 85 great-grandchildren, and 6 great-great-grandchildren. Lots of love and best wishes from family and friends. Turning to Monday, we have 3 couples marking 60 years together. Mr. and Mrs. Orland Wadlin of St. John are celebrating their diamond anniversary. Love from 2 children, 4 grandchildren, and 9 great-grandchildren. And it's 60 years from Mr. and Mrs. Kearney Esty of Zeeland. They're celebrating this Saturday with an open house at home. Best wishes from 5 daughters, 18 grandchildren, and several great-grandchildren. And finally, Mr. and Mrs. Reginald Estabrooks of Sackville, New Brunswick are also celebrating their diamond anniversary. Congratulations from their 3 children, 9 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, and 1 on the way. And if you're marking a special event in your life today, all the best from all of us in the newsroom.
Indeed. And you know, we celebrated a marriage milestone of one of our own over the weekend.
Well, it may have been damp outside, but everyone was all smiles inside Canadian Martyrs Church in Halifax as Live at 5's own Nancy Regan tied the knot with Jeff Makem.
And as you can see here, the bride was even lovelier than usual.
I, Nancy Margaret Regan.
I, Nancy Margaret Regan.
Take you, Donald Jeffrey Makem.
Take you, Donald Jeffrey Makem.
To be my husband.
Nancy's new hubby Jeff is a St. Johner like myself, but we want to clear up a little bit of confusion here.
Well, Jeff is from St. John. His law practice is here in Halifax, so Nancy will not be moving away. In fact, she'll be back next week after their honeymoon.
And a wonderful
A lovely
night it
wedding.
was. Yeah. And there's lots more to come on Live at 5, including Steve Wiggles' weather.
And Yvonne Colbert standing by with On Your Side.
Tonight, Heather will dip into the On Your Side mailbag, check out a bagpipe reed problem, and try to help a rural New Brunswick community with its community hall tax bill.
And we monitor all the goings-on